Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's MISys Tips and Tricks video. We're picking up from where we left off last week. We have created our finished good schedule for MRP. That was our first step, and we finally normalized that schedule to match our capacity. This week, we are going to follow similar steps, which is the second step of our MRP, and it is for our subassemblies or intermediaries. So just like what we did last week, we navigate to planning menu, material requirements planning, master planning schedules, production schedules, sorry, create new, give it a name that we would like, 6 characters long, and then enter a description. I will enter again the 23rd as the date. This time it's either intermediary or sub, depending how you refer to it internally. And next step is again for me to start entering the variables here, which my MRP setup options comes in handy. I am looking at my planning horizon for intermediaries and subassemblies is 1 month. And then my shortage basis is 0. That means I don't want to keep any stock of intermediaries unless there is a requirement from the finished goods themselves. And demand signal, I don't have a shortage basis because I said it's going to be 0. And there isn't any sales orders because we don't get sales orders to sell intermediaries or subassemblies. And there is no sales forecast for that. So what's going on? There is no demand signal. Well, the manufacturing orders that were created as part of step 1 for the finished goods, they are the demand signal for the intermediaries or subassemblies. They require a subassembly or intermediary to be built to be used in the finished good manufacturing order. And the system always sees those manufacturing orders that are in the release status in the system and plans for its requirements. So let's go ahead and leave the default 1 month planning horizon as is. Auto build override as specified. Shortage basis as 0. Initialization mode, all items. Let's use alternate locations. Untick location 2. I don't need to include anything from QuickBooks. So this is a much faster run because now I don't have to link to my accounting system. I'll save, initialize, and automatically it's ready. Now I will go untick these. I will leave final assemblies and sub-assemblies because depending on how some of your BOMs are built, it might require you to have the final assembly still checked even though you are planning for sub-assembly run. Once I do that, I go to summary. It shows me where I am short. And you noticed last week we built finished good 1001, finished good 2002, and SL 50. This week, when we are doing the sub-assemblies and intermediaries, it's calling for their sub-assemblies. Finished good 1001 uses intermediary 1001, finished good 2001 uses intermediary 2001, and finished good SL50 uses subassembly SL40. So when you're running these one after the other, you can barely clearly see the linkage here. And similar to what we did with the finished goods, we go select the line and go and audit it. It gives us our initial stock of 240. And now for 423, we have a usage in the system for 1920. I go look, where is this coming from? It's coming from MO, manufacturing order 1126. Okay, I can drill into this MO. Header tab. Start date is 423. If you remember, that's how we scheduled this. And now we're going to find out that that was not a very good scheduling move because you cannot actually start the finished good on 423 because it actually requires some intermediary to be built before. And if you were to start building the intermediary today, can you actually finish it on that day? So we're about to find out. And these are little practices that you learn along the way as you start running MRP and scheduling your manufacturing orders. Here I can see that this is a finished assembly order for a parent item of finished good 1001 for a parent quantity of 1600. The parent is due 515 to be completed, but it requires this part, the intermediate part, today on 423. So I do the similar auditing with all of my red lines. It shows similarly the manufacturing order that is related. And once I feel comfortable, I hit resolve all shortages. Go back to options. Remember to reset the options tab and select scheduled activity so I can only see what has changed. And here, intermediate 1001, it now has that 1920 requirement, but on the same exact day, it's trying to schedule a shortage build of 1680 so it can bring me to 0. Remember that I set my shortage base as 0, so if I can hit 0 and not be in a negative, the system is content with that. However, there is now another item that is shown here. That is because MISys, when I hit resolve all shortages, blew through all of the BOM layers. And this intermediate 1001B is another second layer subassembly under intermediate 1001. So it's saying that it now needs 7 batches being used because of a finish assembly scheduled for intermediate 1001. So it's trying to build those 7 batches to the same day as a shortage build. So MISys actually does the whole calculation for all of your BOM layers in one go, making it really easy for you to plan and schedule your work. Once I am satisfied with my audit results, I can create MRP. Yes, please save the changes and apply the filters. I don't want to purchase orders, but I do want the production orders. And as you will see, it's the same exact logic as the process MRP build for the finished goods, because this is still a production. So you can select any of the items and you will notice most of them are trying to finish their work on 423. So I can go ahead, I'm going to use the build all here, multiples of reorder. Actually, I will check to see if that's what we had decided. Intermediaries, nope, we had selected as requirements. So I will change that to as required, use manufacturing orders. That's good. And create orders. And here we go. We got our orders. We got 4 orders created. And I want to drill into them and see if they're going to be ready. The system says, yes, that's due today. And you can actually start today and finish today. So that is great. That worked out fine. But if that was not the case, then you would have had to go and change the schedule for your finished good, move it further ahead down the line, and then be able to have your schedule for the subassembly or the intermediary in a reasonable timeline. So now that these are created, you'll notice that the process MRP build screen blanks out again. And now I can close my schedule and navigate to production schedule. And the Gantt chart is going to show up again. I have seen some organizations where they give different manufacturing order number sequences to finished goods and a different one to subassemblies like MOFG and then MOINT for intermediaries. And that way they know which manufacturing orders belong to finished goods and which ones belong to subassemblies or intermediaries. So here again, the manufacturing order for FG1001 is here, FG2001 is here. Here is the intermediate 1001 and intermediate 1001B batch. So you're finishing this batch first, then building this mixture with that, and then starting your finished good run. And MISys says you can do all of them in the same day. If you know that you can't, then you would have to move this here and move this down the line. Not sure why that's not moving. There it is. We are able to move that. and that's good. And this is the intermediary 2001. While it's scheduled here, well, I want to bring this here, and maybe, actually, this was good. Leave it where it is. And then similarly, SL50 is here, SL40 is here. This needs to go back. And this is what our schedule looks like. We can save it. And this concludes our second step of our MRP run, which was for the intermediaries and the finished goods. I hope this helps you use MISys more effectively. And we hope to see you next week on our last installment of the MISys MRP setup and run, which is going to be the setup for our purchased items.